In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 massive levers to be able to break through those limiting beliefs to take you well beyond 7 figures in your automotive business. So why should you listen to me? Because in only 3 years, we scaled from the back of my ute doing mobile tires to 3 locations. And before shifting our focus to our franchise model, we peaked at nearly $1 million a month in revenue. And guess what? I made more mistakes than you've probably had hot dinners. And now to hopefully help you avoid those mistakes, I've decided to give away everything that I've learned for free. So, lever number 1, forget this utopian idea that you're going to be making enough money to take that leap and hire your first or next team member. Just quickly, if you're following along, you'll hear me say team member, not employee. They are a part of your team. Don't make them sound inferior. They're team members. The reason that you might be stuck at, say, X revenue is because right now you are the major constraint. You are wearing all the hats and getting bogged down in the tasks that don't grow your business. Think about how many hours per week you're working right now. Now think about how many of those hours are dedicated to refining your sales process or upselling from the hoist, content creation, implementing systems or software, and team development. If you're currently stuck and have been for a while, it's probably because your answer to that question is 30% or less. Now, imagine hiring a full-time tech. Forget if the cash flow's there. You have just bought yourself 38 plus hours to now focus on the tasks that are going to drive sales. Sales to not only cover the new team member, but actually make more profit in the business. If you don't have an elite sales process, inside of Auto Cartel, we have a workshop called The Art of the Deal, where we go into the sales process in detail. Now, I know some of you are going to clap back and say, yeah, but I need to get to X amount before I put another team member on. But I want you to ask yourself, how long have you been waiting for that time to come? Pull the trigger, brother. I promise you it is going to change your world very quickly if you are effective with your time. Because if you hire someone and still don't work on those effective tasks, then sure, it's probably going to be bad news. So if you don't know what effective tasks you should be doing, and you're more scared of figuring that out than actually employing someone, then hit me up. I'm happy to help. Lever number 2, identifying a UVP. This was a no-brainer for me in the early days. New kid on the block, competing with the big brands. I definitely wasn't doing enough volume to win on price. So I wondered, how can I win through value instead of participating in price wars? Just quickly on price wars. You must understand that the customers that are screwing you on price aren't the customers that you want anyway. We want to attract the customers by providing value, and we want those customers to recognize it, appreciate it, and inevitably pay a premium for it. So how do we go from 0 to 350K per month in a small country town of about 20,000 people with 5 or 6 established competitors in only a couple of years? UVP. Unique value proposition. Firstly, I niched down. I've recognized that nobody focused on 24/7 on-site service. Why? Because it's a big commitment and a tough gig. But if nobody else was doing it to the highest standard and I was just a solo operator trying to make my mark, then at the time, that was my opportunity vehicle. I recognized something in high demand that wasn't being delivered to the community at a high standard. So that's what I focused on. That was my original UVP. So for the commercial side of the business, it didn't really matter that my prices weren't competitive on product, because if the people wanted the service, they had to come to me. Now, moving across to our retail UVP. Same situation, you have people calling around for a price on tires. And in reality, everyone's going to be between $10 and $40 difference. The customer is calling around really with only one expectation, and that's finding the cheapest price. But the customer isn't expecting you to stand out from the rest when you share your UVP. So I had to think, what is going to make the customer come to me regardless of if my price was higher than everybody else's? Firstly, I had to identify the potential objections. And I discovered if a customer's calling around for a price, then there's really only these 5 possible objections. Number 1, convenience. How do they get the car there between work and kids? 2, timeline. How soon do they need the job done, and do you have the product? Number 3, price. They could be on a tight budget and they do genuinely need the cheapest price. Number 4, communication. You don't establish rapport with the prospect over the phone. Number 5, perceived value. Do they genuinely think they're getting a deal? Given that they're the only 5 objections, here's how I deliver the UVP. After going through the discovery process and asking all the necessary questions, we then quote a premium price. We give them 2 to 3 options. We let them know if it's not on the shelf, we can have it here within 24 hours. Then on the tail end, we share our UVP. Just so you know, at Alpha Tyres, we offer free tyre repairs and rotations for life, as well as a free pickup and drop-off service. Now, if we don't close the deal there and then, we state that we guarantee to beat any price within the local area. We don't ever go cheaper. We price match, but we beat it with value. So going back to the objections. Number 1, convenience. We offer a free pickup and drop-off service. 2, timeline. Unless it's an emergency, 24-hour turnaround is going to get the deal. 3, price. We have a price beat guarantee. Absolute last case scenario. If we don't close the deal there and then. 4, communication. We must train our team to ask questions and work on our tonality and enthusiasm. 5, perceived value. So far, all of our competitors have just blurted out the price, whereas we have separated ourselves from that game by having a strong UVP. So hopefully with that, we have all of our bases covered. And that is honestly how we secure over 90% of our inbound leads. Lever number 3, employ yourself out of any key roles. Firstly, understand, nobody will ever do the job with the same amount of passion as you. But unless you want to be tied to the business just because you're the boss, then you must break through this limiting belief that just because you're the boss, you have to steer the ship. I call it freedom tax. There is a loss that will incur in the operation if you're not the one driving face-to-face sales, working on the tools, doing everything to an extremely high standard. You are going to lose a little bit of money, but that is the price you'll have to pay for your sanity and for your freedom. Very early on in my business journey, it was a priority for me to employ a manager, someone that could run the business without me being there. We have since sold one store, and I have quite the horror story about the third, which I share in another video. So as we embark on the next journey of franchising Alpha Tyres and scaling Auto Cartel, we only have the one location. However, that one store turns over $350,000 per month, practically on autopilot without my presence. We've got it to that point because very early on, I had this very mindset to unemploy myself from the business. You see, I think as a small business owner, you definitely need to be present to some degree, roving between the office and rubbing shoulders with the boys on the floor, but ensuring that you're really just a +1. When you're there, you're really just an extra set of effective hands, making the day run a little bit smoother than usual. And that is why when you go to Bali for a month like us, apart from a couple of bi-weekly Zoom meetings, the business runs business as usual. Because your key role is essentially just an extra set of hands, you aren't trapped in a key role of the business that when removed, destroys the functionality of the operation. Now, I'm not here to tell you that while we were away for that month, it all ran perfectly and we set the world on fire. It's not the case at all, but it still ran well. We didn't lose any customers. The joint didn't burn to the ground. And the beauty of stepping out of the business for an extended period of time, it allowed us to zoom out, plug holes, implement systems, and work on the business. One of those systems I call the billable hours audit that we've now published for Auto Cartel members. When we implemented this into our business, we bolted on an extra 100 hours of billable work per month. I wouldn't have been able to figure this out if I was stuck at the helm in the fog of war of day-to-day business. Guys, I hope you got some value out of this one. I want you to know, yes, the auto trade is tough, but I promise you it can open up so many doors and provide such an amazing lifestyle if you apply yourself in the right areas. If you enjoyed this one, please make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll be trying to drop these kinds of videos on a weekly basis. If this video hit home, you want to take things to the next level, and you want to be part of a community of savages in the auto trade, click the link below and let's get in touch. Thanks, guys.